All right, what's up, everybody? We have another very special guest. That's my new intro for every guest is that you're very special, no matter who you are. But you interest me very specifically, Jeff. It's another Jeff. Also, we're going to do back-to-back Jeff weeks. This is Jeff Lowe. He works for Good Morning America for real. What's up, Jeff? How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So you work for Good Morning America. Sorry, that was like talking too fast. You work for Good Morning America. First and foremost, but you're also a Bachelor aficionado like myself and a movie buff. So we have a lot to talk about.
We do. I love The Bachelor. When I first got hired at GMA, I came from a job in baseball and I was asked to live tweet The Bachelor, I think during a college football game. And I made a comment to my boss. I said, this is not my wheelhouse. And I kind of got not yelled at, but it was more like, all right, no more of that. You're doing it. And now fast forward 3-4 years later, I now love it, and I do it instead of watching football at some points.
Right. They're like, please, can you please talk about sports? And you're like, no, bitch, The Bachelor's on. Can you shut your mouth? Yeah, exactly. So the most interesting part to me, we've been trying to kind of connect and have this conversation for a couple of weeks, just based on schedules, whatever. But a big part of that was having to reschedule or move things around for the hurricanes. And I didn't even think about that being a thing. Like I was like, oh yeah, whatever. But you like work at the news. You can't just
exactly.
You can't just like kind of, is it difficult to kind of plan around shit like that? Like I didn't even, what if you had like something, like, oh man, I have like a super important family dinner and then the Hurricane Irma rolls in. You're like, JK, I have to actually tweet about Irma. Like I can't.
You get obsessed with stuff too. News is more like there's not much of an option. Like it just is what it is. Like it's all hands on deck at times.
Yeah.
And you just kind of know going into it. But then there's things like, outside of a hurricane or like a terrorist attack, something like that. I mean, I've had to cancel plans for stuff like that, which, it's part of the job. But
right.
even things like you get so competitive with social media and wanting to have your brand and your account be top of the game, like the Olympics. I dedicated myself to live tweet the whole Olympics for GMA, and I found myself like down the shore, not even going out at nights with friends because Michael Phelps was about to swim, and you get so lost in it. And then on the drive back up after that trip, I'm like, oh man, this is a little consuming here. I didn't get to have any fun, but yeah it's like really what it is.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy 1 second of this. I was like too busy live tweeting Michael Phelps. But I get that though. It's like, I feel like that's the same whenever just on regular Twitter, you always want to be like the best and be the funniest and whatever. It doesn't matter what you're doing, but this happens to be like your job and you get paid for it. And also like you want to look good and you want to look good to your boss. Like it's much higher stakes, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing with The Bachelor. I mean, I got to a point where, hey, The Bachelor, that was my time. I'm gonna live tweet, and I better be as funny as everyone else there, because The Bachelor almost feels competitive, like it's almost unspoken. But yeah, when you're live tweeting The Bachelor, you want to be the funniest person. You want to be the first one to point out that, oh gosh, I already forgot his name, the boring one who just got engaged. Derek, yeah, I want to be the first one. Yeah, he's probably not boring. That was really mean. He's probably really nice.
Poor Derek. He's a little boring. I like Derek. I've met Derek a couple of times. He's really nice. But yes,
I want to be the first one that points out he looks like Jim Halpert. And I actually, and the one perk of being this is like kind of inside, behind the scenes. I get to see the screener, and a lot of people who are in media get to see the screener for The Bachelor beforehand.
Right.
And so I watched that like a week ahead of time. That was like one of the first notes I made. I'm like, I'm making a side by side of this guy and Jim Halpert, and I'm gonna be the first to put it out. I'm so excited.
There's nothing better than knowing somebody with the screener. Like I've had a couple of screeners sent to me before, like not consistently, but some for The Bachelor, some for like Bravo shows, stuff like that. I have made a couple of friends over the years, and they'll send me that kind of stuff. And I swear to God, I don't do heroin, but I guarantee that having the screener to The Bachelor and watching it a week ahead of time is like heroin.
Accurate.
I guarantee it. Because there's no better feeling than being like, oh, I already know what happens. Like, don't fucking worry about it. I don't have to sit around for 2 hours on a Monday and like I already know what I want to say, and I've had time to think about it, and I'm the funniest person in the room. Like I just know that. Nothing is better
having that inside scoop. It's so stupid because like especially for me, like when I know someone's going to be off The Bachelor or who wins, something like that. We can't tell anybody, but
of course not. Yeah.
That secret little thing inside where you're like, yeah, I know you don't. It's like, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Just knowing, like before, like I said, before we started talking, we were like gossiping about some other behind the scenes shit that like, I will, I can't put it anywhere. I would never tell anybody it, but I just like love knowing the background. Like I just love knowing like what I'm totally not technically supposed to know, or like knowing something a little bit early. It just feels so good. It's like the best thing in the world. But yeah, so that's like a really funny thing that you kind of fell into. And I feel like I'm with you on that, where I kind of fell into this like obligation to live tweet and to like be very into it. So now if I decided tomorrow, like, oh, The Bachelor kind of sucks now, like I'm not into it anymore, I get people pissed at me for not
exactly
not tweeting and paying attention. And people are like, well, what the fuck? Like, you're not even trying, like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't get paid for this. Like, I just do this for fun. Like, I just have wine on my couch. Get the fuck out of here. Stop bitching me out. But, okay. So I have a couple of things I want to discuss with you. First off, like I said, the Good Morning America thing, you kind of have to like drop everything and do, what you're supposed to do. I've never had a job like that, so I have no idea what that level of commitment is like. So I commend you for that. But I wanted to ask you if you had seen / what are your thoughts on the latest Taylor Swift behind the scenes videos she keeps dropping like every day? Have you? I think we talked about it a little bit, but Taylor Swift has been dropping these videos. I keep seeing them first on her Instagram. I'm not sure how I think they're just on her YouTube channel, but I always see them on her Instagram story, and they are behind the scenes, like costume, makeup, other people involved, shooting of her look what you made me do video. And Jeff, what are your thoughts before I launch into my own? What are your thoughts?
First off, the one with all the Taylors from the music videos of past videos, it's one of the most jarring things I've ever seen in my life. I don't know why. It was just seeing all of them, which a lot of them don't look anything like her. It just
nothing like her. That was my initial thought. I was like, it's weird that all these bitches are running around just like Taylor Swift. Not a single one of them looks like her.
And I also wonder too, so I guess maybe I might have to watch them again, because I was more just kind of stunned.
I think there are only 2 out so far.
What's her favorite one to play? Like, why did she pick certain ones first? I have so many, and it goes beyond these videos. Like even leaving work today and walking by a UPS truck with her face on it, or knowing I'm going to watch college football this weekend and hear her song. Everything she does fascinates me. And there's like no answers. Like, I never get it, and like we'll never know the answer, because by the time you think you figured it out, she's on to the next thing. Like by the time you think you figured out, look what you made me do, she drops another song, and she always keeps you on your toes. And I don't know. She is one of the more unreal people I've ever had the chance of working close to at GMA. She hasn't been on since my first year, and everything she does, and the way she goes about herself, it's truly, she's the definition of a star, and it's pretty unreal to look at.
Yeah, I mean, well, what's most amazing to me is specifically what applies to you is that she, I guess, I'm not actually sure what it would be, and I'm not sure if you can like tell me this, but I assume she like sold the rights to like maybe her album or specific songs or whatever to Disney. So now her songs are running in ESPN commercials, and they're running in like commercials for TV shows that are going to be on ABC and like stuff like that, where one day nobody knew anything she was doing. She was like putting herself inside a suitcase so nobody would see her leaving her apartment. And then next day she's like you said, on like a UPS truck, and she's on like a Scandal commercial. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is whoever is like and I don't know if it's her or if it's somebody who's the mastermind behind it all, has to be the biggest genius of all time. Like, I just don't even know.
Think about the idea of being a celebrity where people are literally at the point of like, where are they? Are they ever coming back? What happened to them? And then the next day, the flip of a switch, just in one Instagram post, they're everywhere. And even more relevant than they were before they kind of went not into hiding, but just kind of laid low for a while. That's mind-blowing, because so many celebrities, if they were to do that nowadays, they'd be lapped and passed over by so many other people competing with them that they'd be irrelevant by the time they came back. And she's jumps right back up to the top.
Right. It's just, you go away for like 6 months and all of a sudden you're number 1 again. And I think that's what makes me laugh so much about her Look What You Made Me Do video in general. It's just, it's such a big like, oh yeah, fuck you. Like, here I am. I'm back. Like I was doing my own shit for a couple of months. Did you ever think that I was actually going to go anywhere? But that being said, these behind the scenes videos are not cool. They're just like, they're very interesting. I of course want to see them. Like I definitely love seeing the behind the scenes part of it and the filming, because it's a really interesting video. And I've talked about it, I think, on every single episode I've had since I started my podcast up again. But the fact that it's still her same like quirky, like kind of lame self, like joking around. She doesn't look cool at all. Like this whole video and this whole like new persona thing has her like looking like a bad bitch in my mind. And then I see the making of this video, and 99% of the YouTube video that I'm watching, she's dressed up like that, you know, whatever the fuck, Taylor, with like the t-shirt with everybody's names on it and the glasses and the whole thing. She's dressed up like that, like making jokes and like thrashing with like a green screen in the background, and it looks so ridiculous. I mean, I get that it's very cool in general, like the idea of it is cool, but holy shit, does it look lame.
I don't know if it's because, so when Look What You Made Me Do came out, obviously I think everyone hated it for the most part off the bat. Most everyone did.
I want that on record.
That's right. I forgot you did say, I remember that. You were one of the
people. I was like, bitch, just talk to me in a week. And then everybody was like, actually. I was like, exactly.
Yeah, and then it started to turn, and then Ready For It is the other one, right? That's the name of it?
Yeah, Are You Ready For It?
I should know because I've listened to it a million times.
But they all have weird names. Their names are like a little too long, I think, in my opinion.
All of a sudden, flip.
Jot that down.
Yeah, right. Yeah, take note. All of a sudden, flip of the switch, though, everyone liked both of them a lot. I mean, and when Ready For It came out, it was awesome.
It was awesome. And also, like, nobody knew it was coming out. And and what I think was so genius about it, you wouldn't even have known that there was a new Taylor Swift song if you weren't watching college football. And I just so happened to be watching it. Like, it like, you know, premiered at a commercial or whatever, right? Like, it didn't release everywhere. It played in a commercial during football, and I was like being forced to watch football. So it's the only reason I knew. And then I didn't even recognize it as Taylor at first. And then somebody was like, oh, is this Taylor Swift's new song? I was like, oh, fuck, I haven't even heard this. And then I just like locked myself in my room for the rest of the night listening to it.
And I think maybe the videos were maybe a plan after the initial release of the first song wasn't great. Like maybe she's like, okay, I need to maybe show off that I'm still, you know, myself, you know, like you said, quirky and kind of different and out there. So you're right, because it does kind of contrast a little bit.
That's a really good
lead into the other ones. Maybe it was a PR move off the bat. I don't know.
That's actually an amazing theory that I didn't think about. You're probably so right about that. Because I mean, like, she just like, I've never really had a problem with the like quirky, dorky Taylor, but after her like dressed up in bonbon and like having snakes all over her and like the slick back hair and like, you know, the hot outfits, I was like, you don't need to revert back and be like, well, like me and my cats, like stop doing that. Like, just, you're a bad bitch now. Like, just walk around in stilettos and like all black all the time and black lipstick. And that's what I need right now from you. But whatever. I'm just,
I want her to commit to that. I really do.
Yeah. I am on the record as Team Taylor. I'm back on the game. I'm all in on it. I'm trying really hard, and you've really been testing me, girl. It's a little difficult. But also, so we were talking about the Bachelor a little bit before. My question to you is, I've noticed recently, especially this podcast will come out next Wednesday. It's currently Thursday previously, like, that makes no sense. It's the Thursday before the Wednesday this will come out. So this will be like a couple days down by the time you guys listen. But yesterday or today, I noticed on Instagram that a lot of Bachelor people were hanging out in like Arkansas or something. Like, I assume some sort of like meet and greet, or I'm actually not sure what they're all doing there. But it's a bunch of Bachelor people like Dean and Christina, James Taylor,
James Taylor.
Fucking name, Scallop Fingers. I can't think of her name. Literally can't think of her name.
Kristen, right?
Kristen, I thought, yeah. Christine. I don't know why I'm blanking so hard, but I am. So it was like 5 or 6 people. And I think that I am starting to believe that it's a really weird thing when all of these people who have been pitted against each other to hate each other and are on like Ellen talking about how much they hate their significant other, and how much like we've painted Dean as a fuckboy and Christina as like a lonely loser. And now they're all just hanging out all the fucking time. And I think I might have a problem with it. I think it's like, I don't know what I think about it, but I don't think I like it. And I want to know your thoughts on it.
So I don't know. So you've definitely watched the show longer than I have. So
Mhm.
I haven't watched. I've only watched the show since Chris Soule's season. That
That's
was when I first live
that's a
tweeted it.
good a good little that's a good amount of time to like have in your pocket. I think that's a good amount of Bachelor.
But since that season, everyone I see is kind of together. Like they're all friends. Was
Totally
that the
agree.
case before? Like Sean, like when I see Sean and Catherine Lowe, like
Mhm.
not my relatives, by the way, unfortunately.
Right. Oh, so sorry.
Not fellow Lowe's. But they I don't I guess do I see them hanging out with other Bachelor people? I feel like I don't.
Like
I feel like
no.
it's just
So
recent ones.
I think it has a lot to do with like this new social media craze with Bachelor people. I mean, they've always obviously like social media has been around forever, but you know, as far as the Bachelor is concerned, but more recently has it been like a ploy to get followers and you know, they do all of these meet and greets everywhere and they have all these opportunities to meet up with each other after the fact, and so they all become friends, and then like weirdly they become friends in between seasons, and like friends meet other people and then they try out for the Bachelor and then they get on, and I think they must probably like name drop the fact that they're friends with these people. Like I'm sure there's some sort of like Bachelor algorithm up there somewhere, you know, in Mike Fleiss's mind where he's like, oh, if everybody knows everybody, then I can create
Yeah.
drama 5 years down the line. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure. But um I've never seen it so incestual. I don't want to say like the word incest, but that's what it's become. It's become really, really close knit in like a very strange way, in my opinion.
And like the jobs thing too blows my mind. Like what some of them do. Like when it came up on the screen that Robbie was an influencer,
Oh my God.
that was low key my favorite moment of all of Bachelor in Paradise.
So ridiculous. Like also I know that's a thing too. I've had Kelly Travesty on here before, and oh, that's not her last name anymore. She's married. I forgot what her new last name is, but she came on and she was like, "Oh yeah, like I mean, I was a like a PR person or something." She was like, "But I like talked a lot about my dog, so like they put as my job occupation dog lover." I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess that makes sense." But then now it's like with the Robbie thing, social influencer is like a real job. So it's not like it was a joke. He went up there and was like, hey, I am now a social influencer. This is my job. It's like, no, it's not. You were on The Bachelor and you got followers and you name drop Ryan Lochte all the time. Like that's that's literally it.
Which what Daniel too. His was
Oh my
Canadian.
God.
His first. What is? I still don't know what Daniel does. Was he's a
I've
model?
never
Actually,
known. I've never
somebody said that
known.
he's a model.
I guess so, but he's like, I mean, no offense, Daniel, your face, man. Like you have a face for radio. Like that's not a I know that's like probably a mean thing, but holy shit, not your face is not good. I mean his body is fine, but his body looks like one of those like jacked up people that don't do anything but go to the gym, you know? Like it's like a carbon copy body. Like it's not anything exciting. But his face is like a little jacked, and his Canadian accent, I swear to God, is fake. Like I know so many Canadians. I have Canadian friends from like East and West Coast Canada. None of them sound like that. Like deep have lived there their whole lives, like 25 years of life, are now working in New York City, like on like a tourist or a work visa, like the whole thing. None of them sound like that.
Yeah,
And
he
I
has the real like
like,
movie like
yes,
stereotype accent.
that's what I'm saying. I refuse to believe that it's real. Like I 100% think that he's like playing it up and pretending like his accent's worse. And I need a fellow Canadian to call him out. Or I need somebody, you know what, actually, you know what, Jeff, you know what I need? I need somebody from his like high school or somebody from his hometown to come out and like have a conversation with me so I can hear how they talk. And I'll be like, how come you talk like this and Daniel talks like that? Like that's the ultimate, you know, tell for how people talk. Like when you're from Jersey, everybody's like, oh, you have a Jersey accent, whatever. But some people's are more exaggerated than others.
Yep.
And my favorite thing in the world is when I am talking to people and I find out where they're from and they're like, oh, like we're talking like this, like, oh, let's get some coffee, like whatever, we'll just do this. And then I'm like, oh, where are you from, by the way? And they're like, oh, Bridgewater. And it's one town away from me. Like the mall is literally 15 minutes from my house. I'm like, bitch, you don't talk like that. Like that's, you would talk like me. You're just being dramatic. Like this is not how you talk.
That's what so I'm from Austin, Texas originally, not to get too off tangent here, but I
Mhm.
had a lot of friends went to schools like schools in the South like Ole Miss or, you know, Texas. Well, I was in Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Arkansas, stuff like that.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and they came back with these, like after a semester, sounding like they lived in Mississippi their entire lives. I'm like, what? You're from Austin. Like, we don't even have real Texas accents in Austin. Like, you sound like you've lived in Mississippi for 30 years. You've been there for 6 months. So
that's so annoying. That's what, same thing. I went to school in North Carolina, and every once in a while, if I was hanging out with my Southern friends, I had way more Southern friends than Northern friends at school. Like, all of my best friends were from the South. So I was hanging out with them for a little bit too long. Sometimes I'd like throw in a y'all, but never did I have an accent. Like, like every once in a while I'd pick up on a saying or a mannerism, but never in a million years did I roll home with like some sort of Southern accent, like ever. I think that everybody that I know from the North would slit my throat open, like right all over my stuff.
I drop the y'all. I drop the y'all now and then. I don't get many looks.
But you can. I mean, you're literally from the South, so you can do that. It's not ridiculous. It doesn't sound so insane coming from somebody that's not from like, middle New Jersey. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You spend 4 years hanging out with like only Southern friends, and you're with your Southern friends and you're like drunk, and all of a sudden you kind of pick up on like phrases, and then you're embarrassed. Like, it was always like, oh fuck, like, I can't believe I said y'all. That's mortifying, because I don't speak like that. That was just an accident. And come home and talk like that.
To go back to Daniel, I think too, just because I don't want to derail Bachelor too much, because I think the big thing with Daniel too, and you said it, you want someone to verify who knows him. I wonder, and I just wonder this, because you see on TV a lot, they're all worried about each other, these contestants, and one contestant, like the twins, calling out Robbie on the reunion for The Bachelor in Paradise. They said, we saw the pictures of you making out with the girl. Like, I'm sure they're worried about that. But if I'm a Bachelor or Bachelorette contestant, I am more worried about people that I went to high school with than anybody else.
Oh my God. Yeah. Are you kidding me? All it takes is one email from somebody to someone like Reality Steve or somebody at Good Morning America. Literally, it doesn't matter where. It takes one random email to raise questions, or like one tweet. It doesn't even have to be directed at anybody. It can be like #The Bachelor. Daniel was actually a loser in high school. That's all it takes. And that would go crazy. And then everybody knows you're a loser in high school.
There's someone I went to college with who went to high school with one of the guys on Bachelor in Paradise. And I forget who it is. And I won't out who the name is anyway, but they warned me. They texted me. They said, hey, please tell me so-and-so is in The Bachelor. And we didn't know at the time anyway. And I'm like, I don't think it's going to be him. And they told me this whole story about like who they're dating right now. And I was like, oh my God, like you're just blow my life up here if this guy ends up being The Bachelor. He wasn't going to be, and he didn't end up being the pick, but that would terrify me. I would think about how many years you'd have to look back and think about, like, did I screw anyone over really badly? And they're about to ruin me. Right.
Like, you have to have a really squeaky clean reputation. I mean, it goes back to what I was saying about Ari before. I can't remember if I said it on the podcast or not.
I think it was before.
Oh, okay. So we were talking before this, and I had said that I feel really bad for Ari because he's coming into this being The Bachelor, obviously last minute. He's like, obviously always wanted to be it, but never actually thought it would happen. So his go-to line for 7 years at the bar was like, yeah, I was like on The Bachelorette once, like that. And he's like fucked a bunch of girls that way. So now all of these bitches are coming out of the woodwork being like, oh yeah, Ari, like he wined and dined me and, never spoke to me again. Like all of this other shit. It's like, obviously he did. He was like a 20-something-year-old guy who had just been on The Bachelorette, who was like, I'm soaking in 15 minutes of fame. He would never think that far ahead to be like, oh shit, I'm going to get some sort of call 7 years from now being like, you want to be The Bachelor? Literally never would have crossed his mind. So I feel bad for him, because how could you predict that kind of shit? Same thing with high school. How can you predict you're in high school and you're an asshole? How can you predict 10 years down the road when it's like, oh, I'm going to be a reality TV star? No, you don't think about that.
And I think it's, if I were to be on one of those shows, which never would ever, million years, never
no amount of money.
There's no situation I'd ever find myself on that show. But if I were, I'd want to be, and this is a shout out to my favorite Bachelor contestant, JJ.
JJ Lane?
Yeah, from like 2 years ago. One of my favorite, Twitter buddy of mine. It's
like Caitlin's season.
Yeah, he has like, that's the area I'd want to be in, where he, there's not a lot. He kind of made fun of himself on Bachelor in Paradise a little bit. He, made the joke about, I think, he moved back with his parents, and yeah, he had kind of good joke about himself. There was no issues. He played the villain role at first, and then he was a likable guy, and now he just kind of cruises along, and you still know who he is, and he has fun with it. That's kind of where I'd want to be.
Totally.
Good guy. People like him. I wouldn't want to be one of the people way up top like Nick. I don't envy Nick at all.
Never. Oh my God. Nick is so hateable. Like, I mean, I despise Nick Vile. Like,
I'll tell you this.
I can't.
Of all the contestants we have in here, he is one of the nicest. Like,
of course he is. Like, that's the thing that doesn't
nice
surprise me at all.
Yeah, it's and I've heard that from other people too who didn't meet him at our show. They'll be, I forget where it was, but somebody we met that worked with a band we had on the show was talking about running into a bunch of the Bachelor contestants and how a couple of them were not very nice, and like Nick went out of his way to like, oh hey, like glad to hear you watch the show, like, and like just chatted with them, and that's why it was such a bummer to see Nick get such a bad rap, because I was rooting for him to be the Bachelor, and then I was shocked when he literally was, because he was such a nice guy. But yeah, he took kind of the brunt of that one too.
He really, I mean, I don't know if there's any. I'd have to like meet him and spend some time with him to turn my like thoughts around about him. I mean, he's just sucks. Like, I don't know. I know that you're not gonna like tell me that he sucks. I know that he sucks. Like, I just have such a feeling that he's like, I think I truly have him pegged for like the true person that he is, just based on TV. Like, of course, the ultimate perception, but he just like, he was definitely a loser like all of his life. And then he came on to The Bachelorette twice and was like, you know what? Like, this is fine. Like, this is a cool thing. Like, failed twice. Went on Bachelor in Paradise, got the hottest bitch in Paradise, literally the hottest. And all of a sudden decided like, oh, you know what? I'm kind of on an upswing. Let's see how far we can push this. And then becomes the Bachelor. Dumps the hottest girl, Jen Savarino, I swear to God, to ever be on any Bachelor franchise, ever. Gorgeous. Dumps her, leaves her in the dust because he's like, you know what? The Bachelor, all of this shit's going to be great. Gets on, becomes the most hated Bachelor in history. And I'm like, you know what? That's karma. Like, that's exactly what you deserved for what you did. You got, what's it called? Burn bright, die young. That's what Nick Vile did. He just was like, you know what? I'm going to do everything right now and then just crash and burn. It's exactly
I think he might have been the reason why there were some people scared to maybe say yes to being the Bachelor too. That's just, again, that's not even like me saying I have inside knowledge here from work. I just that's just a theory, because
I believe that for sure.
Because he was kind of on the up and up before he went back onto The Bachelor, because people were like, oh man, like, dude, 2 times in a row, that's such a bummer. And people started to like him, and then boom, I mean, he dropped. And I feel like people like Dean, someone like that, who maybe, didn't want to do it. I don't know if they got offered or not. Didn't want to do it because you don't want to go in there and then have your reputation shot, which ironically, Dean is, I don't know if he's still kicking himself after the reunion.
Oh my God, he has to.
It kind of happened to him anyway.
What a fucking train wreck Dean became. I can't believe it. I was so obsessed with Dean on Rachel's season. So obsessed. And then even on Bachelor in Paradise, psyched for him to go on. Thought him and Christina was so cute. And I love Christina too. But together, I can't stand either of them. I think that they're both like so blind, so stupid. Like, I mean, obviously we don't see everything that goes on behind the camera. We don't know every conversation they've ever had. I think Dean is stupid for being such a fuckboy. I think Christina is an idiot for putting up with it. And then, Danielle Lombard in the middle of all of it is like comes out as this like big hoe bag. She's really not. Like, she just was there, and Dean was fucking with her too, like just as bad as Christina. So, and the fact that Christina and Danielle never like teamed up to fuck over Dean is such a loss. I was like so upset that never happened. I thought it totally would. But I can completely imagine Dean not wanting to go near the Bachelor position with a 10-foot pole because he already looks like such an asshole. I would like go in hiding if I were him. But instead, he's at all of these weird events in Arkansas with all these other Bachelor people. That's, full circle. That was my initial thought. Like, why the fuck are you doing this? What's going on?
It's time for the in-between season reality show. Like, I know that's what Bachelor in Paradise was, but how about another in-between? Because I want to see what's happening now with Dean. Like, yeah. I care. That's the thing with like all like the leaks and the rumors that come out is you hear about all these stories. Like, I want to follow Robbie when he goes and screws up at some concert somewhere. Like, that's the type of stuff I want to see. That's some real juicy stuff.
Completely. Yeah, we need like the in-betweeners, something along those lines. Like
Yep.
behind the scenes, or like where are they now, but Bachelor Edition just in between seasons. Like something along those lines. Oh my God, it's exhausting. I get so riled up talking about The Bachelor. I feel like I don't know why I have like taken this platform, and I feel like you will identify with me in this, why I've really dedicated so much time to being obsessed with these people and their lives and what they're doing, and it actually has no effect on my life. But I just can't stop. Like I can't stop having an opinion on these people's lives. I can't like not be nosy, and I can't not talk about it. I need to have other people talk about it with me, and I need to I need to get it all out. It's like poison. I need to talk about it.
It's great, and anyone not watching it, and this it sounds like I'm like shilling for my company. Like anyone that doesn't watch it, go watch The Bachelors at 8 Eastern. No, but I don't. There's people like drama. They like drama on like fictional TV shows. This is great drama, and this is my thing. This show, one of the biggest crimes in any award show season anywhere, any award show, Emmys, Oscars, is the fact that The Bachelor hasn't won an Emmy, and I know why. It's because
the lack of Emmy is crazy. Why do you know why? Do you think it's because it's like kind of trashy or what?
I think it's just that stigma, and I think it's what's his name? I forget. It's Elon Gale, right? That's the guy that produced.
Yeah,
he's unreal. What his team does, what they do with The Bachelor each season, especially Paradise, because Paradise, the liberties they take with it and how funny they make it. I think it's just a stigma, and I'm sure he'd say it too. People think, oh, it's trashy. The work they do every season, it's awesome. They make that such much must-watch TV, and they
completely
crank the drama up. It's such a joke they don't have.
Well, that's what's crazy about it is it's not really a reality show. It's so molded into what we want to see that it's almost impressive. Like everything that goes on, especially now after watching for so many years, you can always tell when something is going to go a certain way because you're like, oh, the producers have caught wind of this. Like if they're smart, they'll do it this way, and they like will, or they'll do something complete opposite and like shock everybody. Like it's always something very strategic. And the fact that they have somebody in the background like Elon or like anybody that works on the show just paying so much attention and being able to kind of, I don't want to say the word manipulate, but it's a little manipulative, being able to like, I guess, mold it the way that it is shown to us and turns all these people into certain characters, and like it creates a story that like would never happen on like, MTV, like what the fuck's that show? They're like Real World,
Real World, yeah.
Where they just like wait around for days, and like some episodes are boring and some are not. Every single one of these episodes is interesting, and there's like beginning, middle, and end. There's like, drama, climax, blah, 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 like the whole thing every single time. And it's absolutely like, I don't want to say artistic, but kind of artistic. It's weird that it's never, I guess, and tell me if you think that this is true. Do you think that The Bachelor has never been nominated for an Emmy because they don't want to own up to the fact that it's so calculated? Like, do you think they want to keep the guys up, that it's like reality TV?
No, because I mean, it should just be in the reality category. I think it's the stigma. Right. I think you're right. I think people view it as trashy. Like, look, like you can call it trashy, whatever. But I don't think
I don't actually think it's trashy, like personally. No, but I know that people.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I know what you're saying is how other people view it. Yeah, I think someone like yourself or me, like we watch it, we know it's not. Maybe it was like back in the day. I don't know. I didn't watch those seasons.
It really wasn't. Honestly, it was like way less janky back in the day. It was like very serious, like almost like it was so about love. Like everything was about love, and it was before I personally became like so invested in it and knew all the behind the scenes stuff and like knew about and like watched that show on Lifetime or whatever, Unreal, like all of that shit.
Yep.
Which I'm sure was like the worst thing to ever happen to The Bachelor. But before all of that, I was so invested in the love stories that it was like, oh my God, like The Bachelor, did you watch it? And now I watch it for entertainment. But before it was like a love situation. It's like, oh my God, I need to see how this turns out. I need to make sure they find love. And now I know that like, love is not real. So it's like a whole thing.
Yeah. And I think I really think they need to give it to Paradise, because I think Paradise, I think you said it's the artistry in that one, just the way they drop people in, and they don't always hit. Not everyone hits. Like the Daniel thing hit with Lacey. She was breaking down. A couple other people came in and messed things up. Danielle, when she came in, messed up the whole Dean and Christina
Totally
thing.
ruined it. Yeah.
I know like the twins didn't work too well because they didn't
No.
really mess. I think they thought they'd come in and mess things up, but they hit almost every single drop in and like addition that it's just, I don't know. I'm like, maybe because I watch it so closely compared to other, like I don't watch The Amazing Race. I watch it like years ago, but the way they do this, it's just, I don't know. It's impressive. They keep it as reality, but they still produce it in a way that's impressive. And so
Exactly.
I don't know. Haters, bunch of haters. That's what the Academy is.
So many haters. I feel like I'm like single-handedly steering the ship to the Emmys with The Bachelor, like on my back. Like I'm like, I'm gonna every single week I'm gonna subliminally talk about The Bachelor for everybody and like make them listen and like make them watch it. Like I feel like I've literally done that every single week. I've mentioned The Bachelor for my whole life, and I just want everybody to know. Just need them all to know. Wait, side note, so currently from where I'm recording in my bedroom, and I have a vanity set up against the windows, and I have a very nice view of the Empire State Building, not to brag, but it's changing colors currently. Like it's changing colors rapidly. They have changed it 4 times. Right now it's red, white, and blue. A second ago it was like green and yellow. I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but it's very distracting. Yeah. I get obsessed with figuring out. Please stop changing colors right now. I'm recording a podcast. Like, stop distracting me. Just thought I just wanted to let you know.
Let's see. I had to look it up now. What do they have?
Right? Like again, it's green and yellow now. It was just red, white, and blue 10 seconds ago. Now, oh my God, it's white, blue, and yellow. Oh my God, all right, I have to stop talking about it because it's just.
Oh, well, here it's rotating colors for the victims of the earthquake in Mexico and Hurricane Maria.
Oh, damn. Wow. Okay. So it'll do this all night long. Wow. Respect. RIP. Moment of silence. Anyway. Oh, thank God for looking that up. Cause like I was so confused. I'm like, can you please stop changing colors? Literally so distracted. Okay. All right. So let's pause it on the Bachelor talk. Otherwise we'll never stop talking.
No.
Let's launch into, tell me a little bit. You've just started a movies podcast. Is that appropriate to say? It's about
we are just movie based. Yeah.
Tell me about it. Let's hear it.
So it's myself along with 2 other Twitter follows for you. You can do my Twitter handle is at Jeff Lowe. And there's at Trillballins, who has a pretty big following base. A lot of people know Trill.
Very funny. Yeah, he's a really funny follow for sure.
The master troller. And then at LCP Kenjack. He used to be at Barstool Kenjack. He changed his handle just in the last 2 days. Yeah, we have we recorded our 3rd episode. Actually, by the time this comes out, we'll have our website up, lightscameramovies.com.
Excellent.
We have our at Lights Camera Pod. Our Twitter will be up. And yeah, Lights Camera Podcast. You can find that on iTunes under the TV and film section. We're trying to jump Ashley I and Ben Higgins' podcast in the rankings. That's our next goal. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, we talk about movies. We just did a whole summer movie look back, and we try to have fun with it. We're trying not to be snobby. I see every movie of the year, with the exception of like 2 or 3 that I just choose not to see if I really don't want to watch them. Yeah. And I rate everything on a scale of 1 to 100. So we're going to database all of our rankings on our site, and you can go.
Oh, that's awesome.
Take a look at how we rate everything. But yeah, I think you said earlier, I'm a big movie buff, so I try to see everything.
I will love that because I also like movies. I'll also watch everything. So my number one favorites always end up being like really shitty, like rom-coms that nobody has seen. Those always end up being like the movies I love the most just because I'll throw them on and they end up being good and I like laugh out loud at them. Like it's just, you don't have to think about it. You never have to deal with it. It's like just so stupid. But at the same time, I'm a huge Oscars person. So anytime the movies start rolling out that there's a chance that they'll be picked up for the Oscars, I'm like, all right, I need to see every single Oscar nomination. And so I'll make sure that I've seen every single one because God forbid I watch the Oscars and I don't know what somebody's talking about. So that's where I like really get intense at that time. Are you an Oscars movie person or are you just like an all around kind of person?
I'm a huge Oscars person. So obviously ABC, we have the Oscars. So my Super Bowl of the year is not live tweeting the Super Bowl, ironically. It's live tweeting the Oscars. And like we put 2 months or so work into it just for social. I love it. One year I missed 1 category on predictions and I'll never be that close ever again. And it's just, it haunts me to this day. I love it. And there's a lot of movies that are going to be nominated aren't out yet, really. I think like
Well,
Dunkirk.
yeah, well, that's always the thing.
Sit,
Like,
yeah.
that's always what happens is like the movies are nominated and like you have to wait till Christmas to see them. I'm like, well, what the fuck? How can I get this bootleg? I need to see it now. Can't wait.
Yeah, I don't know what. There's a couple like Mother had some early buzz.
I was just
No
gonna.
way that's getting nominated.
You don't think so? I haven't seen it yet. I probably will see it maybe this weekend, but because I already feel so behind having not seen it because I feel like it's generated such buzz, like such a positive or negative connotation. I'm so curious. But what were your thoughts on it? Obviously, you've seen it.
I gave it a 63 out of 100, which
Okay,
is
that's
not
terrible.
it's not terrible. And I like artsy movies.
Uh-huh.
Like
Okay.
I will always respect a movie that has art and is original and different.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
However, it is incredibly pretentious.
Oh, is
And
it? Of course it is. Of course.
it's like a
You know
movie
what?
that's yelling at you, "Look at me, I'm smart," the whole time.
Oh, that's
It lines up with the Bible, and like the characters don't actually have names. It just
Oh, that's annoying. Of course.
it's a rough watch.
Obviously. I feel like all of these not dumb, all these movies that like that try to go over your head always end up low key talking about the Bible. I'm like, what's everybody's like affliction with the Bible, like or affliction? I don't know. I'm trying to think of the word. I can't think of it. The obsession, I guess, with the Bible.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it always like low key has something to do with the Bible. I'm like, relax, everybody. Like, we can leave the Bible in the past. We don't have to bring it in every single movie. It doesn't have to be that much symbolism. Did you see the movie? A Ghost Story, I think it's called, with Casey Affleck.
So no, I haven't seen A Ghost Story.
Holy shit. You have to see it. If you like weird artsy movies, it's got Casey Affleck and Rooney Mara. I'm not sure if I've talked about it on this podcast before, but it's to date the weirdest movie I've ever seen, but also so good. I cried like 3 separate times, which I'll like cry at movies, but they're, again, like I said, they're always the cheesy movies like Love Actually and dumb shit. But the really intense movies where you're like kind of supposed to cry, I'm not always crying. I'm too busy like paying attention. This movie, like I was so lost in the movie. Like that sounds again so pretentious and so ridiculous. It was I very, very highly recommend it if you're a big like weird movie person.
It's on my list, and I just talked about it in the summer pod. I don't know why I haven't seen it yet, because when the trailer came out, it was great, and then I forgot about it for a while. But that, yeah, you're right, artsy. That just off the trailer, that looks right up my alley. I'm very excited to see it. Everyone who I know has seen it has loved it too.
It's so bizarre, and I think it's like there's like no dialogue in it. I think like they talk. There's maybe 5 minutes worth of speaking. Like everything else is just Casey Affleck running around with a sheet over his head for real. Like that's actually what it is. And you think that it's kind of funny and like it makes you want to laugh, but it also seems normal at the same time. It's so bizarre. And it's also so depressing because it's like he has like the eyes cut out or holes cut out for eyes, like, you know, and it's very depressing. It's like, oh my God, you look like a sad ghost. Like everything about it looks so sad. And I don't know. It's really weird. I'm shocked that you haven't seen it. You have to see it. Like maybe put it on your list for this weekend. It's like,
not to get like all film school on you, because I also never went to film school, so that'd be a complete lie.
Still get film school on me. Still do
it. One of my big pet peeves with movies, and I think this is for anyone who like watches a lot of movies, is you don't need a lot of dialogue to make a movie like great. Like that's why it's a picture, and that's why you're not listening to it on the radio, and that's why movies like Ghostbusters last year I hated. You don't need dialogue for everything. Like you can let something play out. So I like hearing it. I like hearing that it doesn't, you know, there's not a lot of speaking, you know,
yes.
Let the pictures speak for it, right?
It's really true. Yeah. And I've never really had a feeling on that either way. Like I've never really been like, oh, like this movie has too much talking, or oh, this doesn't have enough. I guess I've never really seen a movie or, you know, whatever, like I said, had an opinion on whether or not there's that much talking, but this movie, there was so noticeably no talking that it kind of stuck in my mind. And I was like, you know what? It was still good regardless of that. Kind of like, I'm trying to think, same thing, Casey Affleck, Manchester by the Sea, a lot of like not dialogue. Yep. Like it was a lot of just chilling. And that was one of my favorite movies of all time. Like obviously the most depressing movie also of all time, but
it is so, very much.
So sad, but so good. Oh my God. I saw it in like, I think it was the only place it was playing in New York at the time was that like weird Lincoln Center cinema. It was like a really weird.
I live right by that. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where I saw it. And it was so weird. We went there And we're like, oh, we're seeing this movie, like popcorn, whatever. And it's completely the opposite of what you think a movie theater would be like. It's basically just a screen with one like flat level, it's just one flat level of seats. Like there's no raising up at all. So like if you're sitting too far back, you're like blocked by people. Like you can't see. So we fortunately, but unfortunately had to be close to the front because we like didn't realize it has such a huge turnout. And because it was super early, nobody really knew what it was. Like it was kind of a random movie when we saw it. And it was full of people that were like 80 years old. And the whole place smelled like mothballs. Like it smelled terrible and like coffee breath.
Yep.
Like, coffee breath and like disgusting. In the lobby, there were desserts for sale, like cheesecake and shit. Like it was old people, like scones and stuff. Like there was popcorn, but there was also cheesecake and like tea, hot tea. I was like, what the fuck is this place? So when I talk about Manchester by the Sea, I really feel like I saw it like a film star, like a film student sees movies in a really weird, shitty Lincoln Center theater with old people and cheesecake.
That's exactly like if anyone listening lives in New York, like that is such like a Lincoln Center area, like Upper West Side type vibe, that theater.
Yes. Totally. Really weird. Okay, so where can we find the pod? Where can we download it and rate and subscribe and help you beat Ben H and Ashley I?
Yeah, just search it up, Lights Camera Podcast. And the funny thing is I always say the name wrong, but I just said it right. Just on iTunes.
I was just gonna be like, I don't even know the name of it actually. I did actually know now that you said it.
Lights Camera Podcast. You can hit our Twitters, I said earlier, at Jeff D. Lowe, at Trill Ballins, 2 L's on each side. And then at LCP Kenjack, and then now our Twitter at Lights Camera Pod.
Wonderful.
Just gonna be talking movies, doing reviews. We're gonna do some blogs where we recast older movies and then cast like current events. Like we're gonna be casting the whole Trump presidency.
Oh, amazing!
Actors up, yeah. So we're just gonna have fun with it. Again, we want to be the alternative to Rotten Tomatoes and
love that
like distinct numbers, because Rotten Tomatoes can get kind of confusing because people say, "Oh, 100%." Well, that just means that 100% of people approved it not being shit. They could still all rate it a 70.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a. Agreed. I have a little bit of a qualm with Rotten Tomatoes. I feel like Rotten Tomatoes is getting a little diluted by the industry. I think that they're getting a little slip of pay on the side so they can be a little more PC. And I need some real shit. I don't need 100% on the movie Get Out because it's, making a stand and it's a political statement. That movie was easily like an 80, maybe a 70.
Well, let me give you a little insight here. With this is apparently what's been happening is that there was a movie that just came out that kind of told people this is what was happening. I think it was like Annabelle Creation, which is the second Annabelle movie. It had like 100% or in the 90s all the way up until release day. And it tanked off to a 60. But I think it still made a lot of money the first weekend. So apparently these studios are screening it for very few people and just screening it for people that they know will like the movie. So they're manipulating the system.
It's the goddamn system.
You can't trust
it. You can't trust a single person, but you can trust Lights Camera Pod.
Thank you. Yes, you can.
Excellent. Perfect. All right, Jeff. I very much appreciate you coming on with me and talking with me nonstop about all of these topics. I feel like I have grown from this. This was an adult conversation, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Anytime I can talk Bachelor, you got me. That's an easy
feeling
one.
Adult. I got you feeling adult when you're talking about it. Of course. All right, Jeff, thank you so much for popping on. I really, really appreciate it. And everybody will be able to download this obviously off iTunes and literally everywhere else that there's podcasts, except Spotify. If anybody fucking knows, Jeff, this includes you, how to put a podcast on Spotify, you let me know. Because
I got a DM from them about who to contact. I contacted that email and have not heard back. So
much bullshit. I emailed like 15 people about it. I'm like, what the fuck? Somebody just put it's like harder to get on iTunes. iTunes is like the mother load, and Spotify won't put me on.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
Spotify. So yes, so available on everything but Spotify. TBD on when that's happening. Same with Jeff. You can find them on basically anything. Lights Camera Podcast. And Jeff, thanks again. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. A lot of fun.
All right, I'll talk to you later.